These are multi-billionaires, incredibly intelligent and successful people, but they need to tweak. They don't need to completely change, but they need to tweak their philosophy. If not only will they not make that extra jump, which will get challenging for the big trophies, but their best players will want to go.
And that's it at the end of the day. When you're talking about crossing a line, and I know we're going to head to a break, but to furthermore what Correa has said, after they'd lost to PSG, he said, I understand this is part of the club's policy that they want to take it going in this direction, signing young players, looking to the future. But for all of us who want to win big things, moments like this, so the PSG exit, make you feel discouraged. Signing young players only might complicate achieving those goals. Against PSG, we lacked players that had gone through situations like that. To me, that is quite damning of the business model of Chelsea from a player. Just quickly, go on.
And very quickly as well, I'll add what Liam himself said. We have a good core of players. The foundations are there, but to fight for major trophies such as the Premier League or Champions League, you need more. Signing young players might only complicate achieving those goals. Against PSG, we lack players who had gone through situations like that. So he is practically saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But there is also another FA Cup tie coming away later on Talk Sport. And we will, of course, look ahead to that when Southampton take on Arsenal. Coverage will start around 7:30, and you'll be in the company of Alex Crook and Perry Groves with Ollie Klink, your host, down at St Mary's. You're listening to FA Cup Game Day, Chelsea versus Port Vale to come at a 5:15 kickoff. We're on Talk Sport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18 and over. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability. Price may vary.
FA Cup Live on Talk Sport with McDonald's. Got big McDonald's hunger? The Big Arch is here to stay. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
Live tonight, exclusively on DAZN, Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. An icon will fall. Watch only on DAZN.
To whoever finds this letter, my car broke down. There is nothing nearby, and I've already eaten my meal deal sandwich. Please tell my wife that I love her, and that she was right. This jacket isn't waterproof. Signed, Daniel S. Oh, actually, scrap that. Green flags just arrived. Blimey, less than an hour.
Local rescue, nationwide. Nothing beats near. Green flag.
On average, we get to breakdowns in under an hour based on app and phone call-outs combined. See greenflag.uk/data.
Have a bet, take a punt, have a bet, bet, bet. Have a bet, take a punt, have a bet, bet, bet. Have a bet, take a punt, have a bet, bet, bet. Have a punt, have a bet, bet, bet. Enough! If you feel it's time to take a break from gambling, TalkSport Bet have the tools you need. Like time alerts to remind you how long you've been playing, or self-exclusion. Make sure you're in control of your gambling, not the other way round. Find out more at safergambling.talksportbet.com.
Next. Hi, just these, thanks. Do you do cashback?
Just need to check you're not a robot first. New security policy.
Okay.
How many traffic lights can you see out the window?
Oh, 2?
No, that's wrong.
Right, well, obviously I'm not a robot.
That's what a robot would say.
What a load of malarkey. Smarty keeps things simple, like 80 gigabytes for £10. And on a rolling monthly SIM plan, you're free to leave any time. Less malarkey, more Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile.
On average, Rift tax refunds get their customers £3,000 back. Search Rift tax refunds today.
McDonald's cards are here. 24 cards to find and free food in every pack. Enter cards in a McDonald's UK only with selected meals subject to
Well, I see Mourinho has got a cross.
He's shaking hands with Bill Parkinson.
Mourinho, he's given up. The white flag is out. Chelsea 2, Bradford 4.
Yeah, famous scenes back in 2015 then when League One Bradford came from 2-0 down to knock out Chelsea in the fourth round as they eventually won the tie 4-2. So famous scenes on that day. Will we see it again? We await to find out. It's a 5:15 kickoff. Delighted to say, joining us now here at the bridge, it's former Chelsea defender and of course sports bar host Jason Cundin.
Has anyone seen Liverpool? What's going on there? Absolute spanking. Natalie, Scotty, Joe, how are we, guys?
Very well. You can hear the atmosphere is really getting going here. First of all, let's get your reaction to the team news. Liam Rosenior has gone pretty strong.
Yeah, and I understand it. After an international break, we're in a little bit of a strange situation, as I'm sure we'll discuss. Cole Palmer, I wonder whether Cole would start. He's still, I think, not quite back. Well, he's not, there's no doubt about it. Anywhere near the levels that he was 12, 18 months ago, but it's a strong team. Obviously, there's no Enzo in the middle of the park. We'll discuss that in a second. It just gets them, get this done, get this dealt with. I was actually here now that day against Brad, yes. And I spoke to some Chelsea fans on the tube on the way up here. It's probably the most stunned I've ever been after a Chelsea game. 2-0 up. Yeah. If you go back over that team, it was full, littered with international, Champions League, Premier League winning side. And we were 2-0 up and they beat us 4-2. And it's still one of those, I can't still believe how that played out at all. But no, Natalie, it's not going to happen again. Why are you doing that to me now?
I'm sorry.
I've had that for the last hour, James. Trust me, honestly, she's a bad kid.
It's the magic of the cup, and that's what I love. Yeah. Absolutely. But as we've said, it's a really strong Chelsea lineup that Rosenior has gone for, barring the fact that he's decided to not start with Cucurella and Caicedo. They're both on the bench, so could always be introduced. I want to get your thoughts. I'm sure you've already spoken about it, about the Enzo Fernandez scenario, also the Marc Cucurella situation as well. We've been talking about it just before you came on air. And I was saying that for me, what Cucurella has said I feel is worse than what Fernandez has said, especially when he's saying about how the players feel discouraged at this present moment when they're going down this policy of young players looking to the future, but when you're losing big games like they did against PSG, well, where is the motivation is essentially what he is saying.
He's part of the problem, though. He's part of the problem.
Why?
Because his performances since the 72nd minute away at Paris at 2-2, Chelsea looked the more likely to go and win that game. Since that Jorgensen mistake and Coutinho scores, since that goal we've conceded 10 goals and not scored one in the following 3.25 games. Cucurella's levels have dropped dramatically. Don't get me started on Enzo Fernandez. By the way, him away at Everton, he was terrible. And he comes out, start flirting. Right? When he says that Madrid's a great place to live, I mean, is he talking about Athletic? Everyone thinks it's Real Madrid because he's not at the minute performing.
You're saying he won't.
Well, no, he's not.
They're not going to be interested.
Come on, listen. Keep your mouth shut. Do your job. You're paid to play football. International break always does throw up these random comments. And the question to Enzo, from what I can understand, is, what other city would you like to live in? I mean, if I ask Scotty Minto, are you that? Nah, there's all you go, Don't ask don't fall for the bait.
Yeah,
don't fall for the bait. And they've done that. And here's my opinion. Keep your mouth shut. Do the talking on the pitch, because everyone, and I include Caicedo in this, no one has delivered anywhere near what we should be doing. And it's been a strange time. I'm just disappointed in them. They've decided this international break to be the time to do it.
Where would you like to live if it wasn't London?
London.
Look, I said before, Jace, I think if you're South American, you do want to live in Madrid. You do want to play for Real Madrid. And, but the bottom line for me is, if everything was right here and set up for winning a Premier League and a Champions League, it wouldn't matter. He could put that to one side. The fact is that he and Marc Cucurella, and you can talk about their form in the last 4 games, but actually I think they're seeing over a period of time, and with Enzo Maresca going, with him being very, very popular as a head coach, that they haven't got those players to take them to the next level. Liam Rosenior's already said we need the players who have been there before. And they're seeing that actually all the owners are doing are bringing in more young players. My argument would be just tweak it a little bit. Just, a new goalkeeper, a new centre-half and a centre-forward to help out Joao Pedro. Senior pros who have been there before, who have won titles before. And then actually, I don't think you'd hear from Marco Correa or Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah, I think that is a fair criticism of the squad. And I've been talking about this as most, you haven't got to be a Chelsea fan. The squad has holes in it. There are gaps in the squad. And I just talking to a Chelsea fan on the way up here. If you put Petr Cech, John Terry in their prime and Didier Drogba in this team, all of a sudden you go, wow. But we're not going to do that. And there's a number of positions in this team, or squad actually, that we are lacking. And the money that's spent. But again, keep your mouth shut. Your job is to play football. You won the Club World Cup. Actually, factually, Cucurella's wrong. Enzo, we said to let him go. He wanted to go. It's a mutual decision.
Yeah, but why?
Well,
he walked out.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't even mutual. He's walked out. Why?
Managers leave clubs.
No.
Managers leave clubs.
Jace.
Managers leave clubs.
Listen. We talk about Mauricio Pochettino. What would you say about him? He's a charming guy who can get on with anyone. He fell out with the hierarchy. Talk about Enzo Maresca, who should have been pinching himself that he's the Chelsea head coach, and I thought he did really well last season. He's walked out. Why are these people who should be thinking either they're just naturally people who get on with people, or should be thinking how lucky they are, wanting to get out of here? And it's very unusual to have a go at a group of owners who are spending too much. But clearly they're going down the route of the hedge funder and flipping.
I get the frustration. I hope.
And these set of fans for 20 years are used to winning trophies year in, year out, and yet they're feeling like they're still a long way off there.
Yeah, no, I get the frustration. I totally understand that. Keep your mouth shut. That's it. Whatever you say to me,
you don't have to go at me like
Scott,
that. I'll keep my mouth shut.
I'm not talking to you, Scott. But it's not your place. It's not your place. Do your talking on the pitch, and that's what frustrates me. Is the performances that he, along with all the other, noises that's come out. And do me a favour. How about you perform?
I don't disagree with you, and in our day we would keep our mouth shut.
Yeah.
But this is a different world, let alone a different football world as well. And they are reaching their peak years.
Yeah.
They want to be winning trophies like they did last year on a yearly basis, and yet, hopefully it happens with the FA Cup. But it's the Premier League and Champions League what they'll be aiming for.
Just perform, please. Performances.
We've got a rest here in the middle.
That's round one.
Sorry.
No, I don't disagree with that.
No.
Perform, obviously.
And I do get your point, although you could say it's not necessarily about keeping your mouth shut, it's just being clever with your answer. So Enzo Fernandez could say, I love London, love where I am right now, but maybe when I'm old I'd love to live in Madrid.
Marco Correa said that. He said, my family's happy, I'm happy here, I see myself here for the next couple of years, and that's why I think that he's not. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but they've somehow looked at that, but he doesn't want to go right now in the summer, whereas it looks like Enzo Fernandez does.
Just don't get drawn in, don't get sucked in. And I think, I noticed that his agent, Enzo Maresca's agent, come out, and that's his job, I understand that. He said, he put you in a position as well, or has it been deliberately manufactured so that he can somehow start leverage?
Well, you would know what players and agents do, the pair of you. You've been involved for a long time.
Selfish, horrible creatures now.
There's some naughty presenters, reporters out there who can answer very bad questions.
I'm not naughty. I'm nice. Very quickly, I know you've got to go because you've got other duties. What's your feeling then for this game?
I mean, just win this convincingly. My worst case scenario is that Port Vale come here and take advantage of what's been a really weird last couple of 3-4 weeks, and we get to half-time at 0-0. And it's not inconceivable, because if I was a Port Vale player, I'd come here and I want to put the performance of my life in, and you've seen this team, it's a strong team, and we are disjointed. I'd just turn the crowd, if you can, in some way, get in your advantage. If it's 0-0 at half-time, my fear is that there's going to be boos around the stadium, and a genuine fear. And if that happens, well, it almost feels like it's advantage Port Vale.
Yeah.
Let's win the game, two goals in each half, do what Man City did to Liverpool, 4-0, thank you very much. let's move on.
Job done in 90.
Indeed.
There you go. Right, Jason, thank you for joining us. Been a pleasure having you alongside us.
Great to see you.
And no doubt he'll be on Monday on the Sports Bar, and he'll have plenty to say on whatever happens here tonight, no doubt. Speaking of Port Vale and the visitors to the bridge, let's hear from their boss, John Brady, who's been speaking ahead of this game about Chelsea's incredible strength in depth.
Yeah, look, excited. Looking forward to playing at Stamford Bridge. I think the players should. Probably looked at their squad and they could put about 3 different teams out in what they could do. Potentially, you're hoping all the boys are South American players and the Portuguese boys that have gone out to play in the US. Maybe you hope he'll rest a few of them. But still, behind that, they've got an incredible squad. You know, they're World Club champions, and you know, for us, it's we said Sunderland would be the ultimate test, but it was at home, and this, you know, away in world football, it's a huge test for any top club.
So that was the Port Vale boss, John Brady, speaking before the team news, of course, was announced in the build-up to this game. And all 5 of their previous FA Cup ties this season have been at home, so this is their first on the road. Scott Minto, I know, looking at the 2 teams on paper and where they're both at in terms of Premier League and League One, for example, but if Port Vale were to do what would be unthinkable, would it be one of the greatest FA Cup shocks?
Yeah, it'd be up there. Obviously, Palace getting knocked out in the 3rd round, I think is probably number 1 because they were the cup holders. But actually, to come to Stamford Bridge, to have such a shocking season in the way that they have, they've changed their manager. You know, they've only scored 29 goals in 38 league games. Yeah. And to come to Chelsea, as you say, that you know, Chelsea are the world champions. So to come, it'd be right up there. There's not many bigger, I have to say now.
I do want to throw in over the last 25 years, and I'm not just doing this because I've got a foot in the camp here, but for Wycombe Wanderers to beat Leicester City as they did in 2001, they were a struggling lower league side. They beat Leicester, but I think this would be even bigger than that because, of course, Chelsea are a much bigger club in today's terms than Leicester were at that stage. And I guess the prize is even more special as well. I mean, I know a lot of people have criticised the decision to play an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley and still feel that, as Wycombe did in 2001, the game should be played at Villa Park or at Old Trafford or something like that. But you can't help but think that the opportunity for these Port Vale players to go out and play a game at Wembley Stadium, 1 or 2 in the squad have done that in their career, but for the vast majority, it would be something extra special. This has got to be the biggest game of their lives, and if they can go out and do it, it'll be one of the biggest FA Cup shocks, I would say, certainly of the 21st century.
Yeah, we aren't that far away either from kick-off, around half an hour's time, in fact. You mentioned Chelsea being the Club World Cup champions, of course they are, but when you look over the course of the last 2 seasons, Chelsea have played something about like 100 games or so, which is probably a lot more than a number of others. Is that a factor that we should be bringing into this? That there's an element of tiredness. And listen, I know there'll be some people listening right now going, they only play 90 minutes, maybe once or twice a week, so it doesn't sound that much. But as a former player, is that a factor we should be considering?
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, I look at injuries, and there's a lot of clubs, I mean, including Tottenham Hotspur, who regularly this season have had double-figure digits in terms of injuries. And you know, you have to say, without your best players, and Cole Palmer's been out for this season for some time, then that is an issue. But Premier League clubs know that at the start of the season. The only thing I would say is, yes is the answer. When you have had no rest at all, then it's very difficult to basically non-stop football for 2 years. And look, I get it. People turn around and say, well, they only play 90 minutes or they only play 2 or 3 times a week. But these are thoroughbred racehorses right now. These are absolute athletes who, you know, can get injured at any time, or actually, I mean, quite often, 50% of my career, I was running out there with some kind of nickel. And if you want to be playing at the very top, you need rest. It's quite simple as that. You need time on the training pitch for the manager, especially if he's a new manager, to get his ideas across, but you also need rest. And Chelsea haven't had that. Not many people are going to feel sorry for them knowing that, but I definitely think it is a reason as to why, you know, they're sort of falling away. But it's not the only reason.
Okay, so this game kicking off at 5:15 as Chelsea take on Port Vale with a semi-final place at stake. But two heavyweights collided at the Etihad earlier as Manchester City looked to beat Liverpool for a third time this season and for the first time in 89 years. The game was live and exclusive to TalkSport.
Nunes through towards O'Reilly, he's gone down inside the area, and it's a penalty to Manchester City. It's Haaland left-footed, dragged into the bottom right-hand corner, and Manchester City lead Liverpool.
That man Haaland adds to his tally.
Another great little flick, and Haaland makes it two. They are in complete control, and they're in again here with Semenyo. 3-0.
Liverpool were looking absolutely shell-shocked.
Doku coming inside, found O'Reilly. The angle is tight. He's knocked it square, and Haaland has a hat-trick. Liverpool are being utterly dismantled. Haaland with yet another hat-trick. His 12th in Manchester City colours. Gettiga going down inside the penalty area. Penalty which will be taken by Liverpool. And Mo Salah has the ball on the spot. Comes up, hits it left, but it's saved by James Trafford. And that is as comprehensive and conclusive as they come. It's not the cup elimination, it is the manner of it that will concern everybody associated with Liverpool. A terrible day at the office. Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0.
Yes, it turned into quality and comprehensive victory for Manchester City. And here's a stat courtesy of Adrian Durham for you. Mark Gahey has now beaten Liverpool 5 times this season. That's going right the way back to the Community Shield when he was with Palace, of course, in August. Then in the League and Carabao Cup. He was also then part of the City team that won 2-1 at Anfield in February. And, of course, today as well. After the match, Mickey Gray caught up with City's hat-trick hero Erling Haaland, who was keen to praise his supporting cast.
Antoine, I think, is the first assist to me, which is going to be first of many. Of course, new club, all of this takes a bit time to get the link and everything. I know everything about this and new clubs and everything, but yeah, amazing assist from him, and also Nico getting the penalty, giving me the hat trick is amazing, and he's been amazing for us. So yeah, Nico, he's one of a kind.
Yeah. So that was Haaland there talking about his teammates Semenyo and O'Reilly's brilliant service. Mickey also caught up with Arne Slot at full time and asked him what he could do to lift the spirits after such a disappointing loss.
First of all, to the players, I don't think after the game you say too much because everyone is so disappointed after losing an FA Cup quarter-final against City in the way we did with losing 4-0. And to the fans, I can only say that their support was great. For a long time, a long period of the game. They were so loud, they were helpful for us, and that's a big compliment if you see how our season has gone till now.
So Manchester City, the first team through then to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and we await to see who will join them between Chelsea and Port Vale. A little bit later on, Southampton, informed Southampton of the Championship, take on the Premier League leaders Arsenal. But focusing once more on this game here then at the Bridge, and talking more about the season that Chelsea are having, and of course by their standards they have fallen to 6th now after losing their last 4 in all competitions, 2 Premier League losses in that run as well. There does have a feeling of discontent growing amongst the fans, it has to be said. And Scott, you've sort of alluded to it, but at what point do you think the club has to start targeting trophies rather than focusing on the business model? Or is the business model always going to come first?
They've been in charge for nearly 4 years now, and actually at the start, if you remember, the likes of Raheem Sterling, you know, they actually went for the sort of senior players, and it didn't work out. And I thought it would. I love Raheem Sterling and for club and all the clubs he's played for, and country as well, and the way he's handled himself on and off the pitch. But it hadn't worked out, and it almost feels like they've said, right, we're going to go down a different route here. But they've just gone too far the other way. Now, I don't think they're a million miles away from challenging. I'm not going to say winning, but challenging for the Premier League and Champions League as well. If they have a leader in goal, a leader as a centre-half, and another striker to take the pressure off João Pedro as well. I genuinely think, ones who have been there before, Marc Cucurella's talked about it, Liam Rosenior's talked about it, who have been there before, who when you're 3-2 down, you're not bossing it, but you're doing so well in Paris, but you're 2-2, you make a mistake, it's 3-2. Keep it to 3-2. Don't make it 5-2 and then suddenly, 6 minutes into the second leg, you're 4 goals down. Those leaders, and not just on a match day as well, but on the training ground and the way they talk to these young players. I'm not saying completely change the philosophy or the system. I'm just saying tweak it. And if they do that, then I actually think they could be right up there challenging. My worry is that these are multi-billionaire businessmen. They're successful in being very, not narrow-minded, but being very straightforward in their way or the highway. And I'm not sure they're going to change their mind.
Well, there's a whole generation of Chelsea fans who, as Scott knows, were brought up on a diet of trophies, season in, season out. 19 trophies in 19 years. And I think they feel that the current aims of the current ownership don't align with the way that things were in the relatively recent past. And you can see that reflected in what we've been talking about all afternoon. Marc Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez both saying what is really the talk of the terraces, but actually, are they not some of these senior players? I don't know what it says about the togetherness in the group, because these are senior players making these comments, but are they sick of this project? Are they done with it? Is it actually a project that top players around Europe and around the world really want to join and be a part of? Is that the same question that you could ask about top managers around the world and around Europe? Do they all really want to be a part of this project? Doesn't feel like that at the moment.
First of all, can we go a little bit further back than 19 years? Can we go to 97 and then we can crack on?
Well, that was the start.
No, but seriously, these are senior players saying we want more senior players.
Yes.
And I'm not saying just get loads in. I understand the model, and there's a lot happening at even down in League 2 and in the Premier League. You want to try and, as much as possible, buy cheap, and if you have to sell, then sell big. But Chelsea Football Club shouldn't be about selling. And if you go back though, sort of in the prime time with a Terry, Lampard, Drogba, none of those players wanted to leave Chelsea because they knew that Chelsea were one of the biggest, best clubs in Europe. Whereas at this moment in time, they've still got a massive leap to go. So that would be my argument. I totally agree with Jace in terms of, shut up and just do your talking on the pitch. But one, it's a different world nowadays, but two, they're saying what we're all saying, and actually it's really interesting to hear that it's coming from inside the dressing room now, not just on the terraces and from ex-players.
And those conversations are being replicated on the terraces. The substance of what Enzo Fernandez and Marc Cucurella have been saying will be being said at the Matthew Harding end and all around this ground today by Chelsea supporters. They shouldn't have too much trouble with Port Vale. Realistically, if we're being honest, in the context of this FA Cup tie, it should be routine for Chelsea. But if it isn't, those questions and the clamour for change is only going to get louder.
So, everyone is saying it, both on and off the pitch. The question is, will the owners actually listen?
Exactly what I was going to say. The problem is, they're listening, but what they're doing is going, Enzo, you can't play for the next 2 games. You've crossed a line.
Yeah.
And I get that. Sometimes players can cross a line. I don't necessarily think what he did crossed the line, but that's just my opinion. And look, they have their reasons for doing so. Maybe they've had further conversations with him that we're not privy to, and maybe it's led to this decision. We don't know. But let's obviously bring you more ahead of this 5:15 kickoff and bring you a recap of the team news then with your match commentator Joe Shannon.
Yes, well, no great surprise. He's not in the team. Enzo Fernandez, we knew that before the game. Cucurella drops to the bench. So does Moises Caicedo after Chelsea's defeat in the Premier League to Everton before the international break. Tosin, Andre Santos and Esteval are the 3 to come in. So it's Sanchez in goal, Gusto, Fofana, Tosin and Hato, Lavia and Andre Santos, Esteval, Palmer who captains the side, and Pedro Neto in support of João Pedro up front. Liam Rosenior has left plenty of insurance on the bench should he need it. Cucurella, Caicedo, Isugo, Garnacho, Delap, Achiampong, Sarr and the highly rated 17-year-old Ryan Kavuma McQueen are all among the Chelsea subs today. What a day it is for Port Vale, bottom of League One, beaten 4-0 away at Wycombe Wanderers last weekend. Relegation seems a certainty, but they can forget all about that for this afternoon. 4 changes for them today. Gordon, Sharif, Walters, and the hero really of the cup run, Ben Wayne, are the 4 to come back in for them. Joe Gauci, who is on loan from Aston Villa, will play in goal. Gabriel, John, Humphreys, Connor Hall and Gordon are at the back. Sharif, Ojo, Garrity the captain and Walters in midfield. Wayne is on his own up front.
Joe, thank you very much. We're around about 20 minutes away then from kick-off for this second FA Cup quarter-final of this weekend. Don't forget, every single tie is on Talk Sport. And don't miss Talk Sport Breakfast on Tuesday morning from 6 o'clock as Ali McCoist and Gabby Agbonlahor are going to be joined by none other than the 2005 Champions League winner, Steven Gerrard. What does he make of the current situation at Anfield? What next for him as a manager? Will England win the World Cup? These are just some of the questions no doubt the boys will be putting to Stevie G on, well, is it Monday morning or Tuesday morning? Monday morning, I think. Tuesday morning. No, I'm being told Tuesday morning. That's TalkSport Breakfast with Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard. Tuesday morning from 6, so set your alarms for that one. And Steven Gerrard, of course, as we all remember, was the former Rangers manager. There's been some huge results north of the border as the full-time whistles go around the Scottish Premiership that have been taking place today. And it's just finished, in fact, in the game between Rangers and Dundee United. And Danny Rolls' Rangers have won 4-2 to take them top of the table on goal difference. Hearts can reclaim top spot if they earn a point at Livingston tomorrow. Celtic head to Dundee tomorrow. Elsewhere, St Mirren were 2-0 winners over Aberdeen. Hibs beat Kilmarnock by 3-0 at home, and Falkirk beat Motherwell away 3-2. You're tuning into FA Cup Game Day, Chelsea versus Port Vale to come. It's a 5:15 kickoff, and we're on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18 and over. Fees apply to delivery orders subject to availability. Price may vary.
FA Cup Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. The Big Arch is here to stay at McDonald's with its very own delicious sauce. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
Tonight, exclusively on Design, an icon will fall. Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. Watch only on Design.
Jack is in construction, totally unaware.
Unaware of what?
He could be paying too much tax. Jack's forever shelling out his own cash to travel between sites or buying tools.
Yeah?
So he may be owed money by HMRC. Rift Tax Refunds helps people get the money back. On average, over £3,000 back. Get the ball rolling. Search Rift Tax Refunds. Search Rift Tax Refunds today.
Here's a bright idea. Let Wix see how much you could save on your electricity bills. With Wix Solar, our team handles everything under the sun, from design to the perfect installation of your solar panels. We're proud as a peacock to be rated excellent on Trustpilot, so you can feel confident your solar installation is in safe hands. Book your free solar appointment today at wix.co.uk. Wix Solar, a name you can trust with service you can rely on.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep on going under. Get that Toyota electric feeling with the all-new, all-electric Toyota Urban Cruiser. Available with 0% APR representative and £1,500 deposit contribution. And save £1,500 with the Toyota Electrified Saving. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from $29995. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website conditions apply.
Go from someday to sunny days in Greece with package holidays from £329 per person. So stop dreaming of souvlaki. Stop scrolling crystal clear beaches. Search EasyJet Holidays and get your holiday in Greece sorted today. Get out there. Selected dates April to September. Limited availability. ATOL protected. T's and C's apply.
This week at Morrison's. Save 25% on selected wine and fizz when you buy 6 bottles or more with your More card, including champagne. Choose from your favourite brands like Mudhouse Sauvignon Blanc, 19 Crimes Red, La Vieille Ferme Rosé, the best Prosecco, Trevento Malbec, phew, and more. Go on, it's Easter. Pour us a tipple. More reasons to shop at Morrison's. Majority of stores. Max 36. Excludes Scotland and Morrison's Daily More Card app. Required 18 plus. Selected 75 centilitre bottles. Online varies. End 6th of April. Please drink responsibly.
King of football commentary. FA Cup Game Day live on Talk Sport.
It's been quite a month for Chelsea. Knocked out of the Champions League, falling out of the top 5 following successive Premier League defeats, add in player discontent as well. Maybe today is a chance to put some confidence back into the team, with the lowest ranked side still left in the competition making the trip to the bridge in the FA Cup. It has been a difficult season for Port Vale in League One since promotion, and looks as though they're heading straight back down. But the FA Cup has provided some relief as they have reached the quarter-finals for the first time in over 70 years. It's Chelsea against Port Vale in the FA Cup quarter-finals, live on TalkSport.
João Pedro for Chelsea, dribbling towards the edge of the penalty area, onto his right foot, he shoots and seals it for Chelsea.
The owners of the football club are the ones that determine what success is and what they measure it by. What they're saying is, we are going to build with this manager, try and give him an opportunity to be successful.
Wayne has scored! He's done it again in the FA Cup. It's Port Vale, bottom of League One, leading Sunderland.
And it's been really about creating a connection within the group, and I feel you can see we're starting to do that. They're running for each other and they're working hard for each other, and I think that's been really important, the difference to the change in what we've done.
Kick-off then is at 5:15 here at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea look to reach the semi-finals of the FA Cup for the first time in 2 years. And as for Port Vale, well, you have to go back to 1954 for the last time they reached the semi-final, 72 years ago. But the Vale have travelled with numbers. 6,000 of them have made the trip down south to Stamford Bridge, and they are in good voice, it has to be said. They really did cheer off their team as they just went off. And they're providing much of the atmosphere here at Stamford Bridge as well. You can't blame them, because in League One it's been a torrid time for them. They've only won 7 games all season in the league, but the FA Cup has been quite a journey for them. 5 wins then in a row, and let's not forget they knocked out Sunderland in the last round at Vale Park. Ben Waine, the star of the show really for Port Vale, he scored the winner against Sunderland, as he did in the previous round against Bristol City as well. And Chelsea, well, they might have to be wary of what he might bring to the game today. A round of applause going out around the ground now in recognition of goalkeeper Tony Golden, who passed away recently, and nicely observed by those here at the bridge. Chelsea have gone pretty strong with their team line-up. It's only Marc Cucurella and Moises Caicedo who drop out of the team that faced Everton, albeit they were humbly beaten by Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I want to speak to Scott Minto, former Chelsea defender, who is part of our commentary team this afternoon, about really the form of Cole Palmer and how Chelsea can potentially get him back to being at his best once more. I know Rossini has played him out on the right, he's played him as a 10, he's playing as a right. Today we expect, would you say?
I'd say he'd probably be in the middle.
It might be in the middle.
Pedro Neto on one side and Estevao on the other.
Oh, you're right, sorry, of course. But what can you put it down to with the lack of consistency? I know he's had some injuries, but we're still not seeing the best of Cole Palmer.
No, I don't think he's 100% fit. Again, we talk about, people could turn around and say, oh, they're footballers and they can be looked after 24/7. Absolutely, but if you're not right at this level of football now, this is the elite of the elite when you're playing Premier League football and internationals as well. If you're not bang on it from a physical point of view, you're not able to push off, you're not able to get that extra yard. He's quicker than you think, and even just receiving the ball and on the half turn and knowing where everyone is. When you're fit and in that zone, you're bang on it. I was here for the Bournemouth game when he was taken off at 2-2 and Enzo Maresca was getting shouts of, you don't know what you're doing. Now, since then, we found out that actually there's a member of the medical staff on the bench almost, should we say, advising head coaches, how long they should last. Look, the answer is he needs as many 90 minutes as possible. But clearly, the medical side is very, very important because they don't want him breaking down and going back to square one. But the moment he's got 4, 5, 6, 90-minute performances behind him, then I think we'll see the better. I think we've seen some games. I mean, the Leeds one, even though he missed that sitter at the last minute, I thought he was excellent. There's been a couple of others as well. I thought he came off the bench against Uruguay and looked really good. But until he's 100% fit, you're not going to see the best of him, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to live, breathe, and try and get fit for being out there on the pitch. And the moment he is 100% fit, I think we'll see the Cole Palmer that we've seen for 2 years.
Yeah. It's hard, obviously, when you're not getting a rhythm, which is clearly what we're seeing with Cole Palmer. You're not going to get the best out of him, unfortunately. And another issue you could say for Chelsea this season has been in defence. It's kind of been jigged around by Liam Rosenior. Injuries also haven't helped him.
Yeah, I think there's been injuries. It doesn't help when you've got about 85 centre-halves to sort of choose from. And sometimes when you've played the centre-halves, actually some of them have done particularly well. I've been quite critical of Wes Fofana because I know how good he can be, but he's made mistakes. So the Newcastle goal, I thought you could say is a mistake for every one of the Everton goals as well. And you just want him to be switched on. One thing that I would say about Stamford Bridge is this season they've dropped far too many points from winning positions. So even when they've gone ahead, and normally that first goal is so important, and then you can dictate the tempo of the game how you want to. But no, they've been dropping points and they've been allowing teams to come back into it. So that's not just the back four point of view. That's a whole team point of view. But again, Robert Sanchez, he's not a Chelsea goalkeeper. The back four, I think Marco Correa and obviously Reece James and even Malagusto, I think are very, very good. But in terms of centre-halves, I like Trevor Chalobah. Levi Colwell's been injured, but you just need that almost Thiago Silva in there as well, just to calm everyone down and to direct people, communicate. And I don't think there's enough of that. And that's, again, what I'm talking about, the senior pros, the leaders, they do that.
Yeah. Well, there's never a dull moment in SW6, and unfortunately the turbulence isn't doing much to allow Liam Rosenior a steady step up from Strasbourg to the melting pot of Stamford Bridge. It certainly has been a troubling few weeks for the Blues.
It's 3-0. Cue the mass exodus from Stamford Bridge of Chelsea fans, and no respect shown by Paris Saint-Germain as they came here and extended the aggregate lead to 8-2, making it Chelsea's worst ever European night.
Their intention, the devout intention, is to give this manager enough opportunity to be judged by 2027. Now, if the manager creates an absolute mess of the place, and they're sitting in Tottenham's position this time next year, he won't be in the job.
Chelsea 4 defeats in a row in the league for the first time since 2023. They are in a real rut at the moment, and it's difficult to see how they pull out of it. Everton 3, Chelsea 0.
Okay, great, you tried it, it hasn't worked. It's been a distinct failure, a proven failure. Now get him out of the club and get a proper manager in.
When you're away on international duty, talk about your national team. Leave Chelsea out at the moment.
Marc Cucurella is the winner because he's got away scot-free.
I spoke with Enzo an hour ago. He won't be available for tomorrow's game and he won't be available for Manchester City.
I'm seeing them as senior players in that squad and they are talking like that. I just think it's a little bit, it doesn't sit right with me.
So it's not been the easiest of rides so far for Liam Rosenior, but he has got his team into the quarter-finals of this FA Cup and looking to reach the last four for the first time in 2 years. And let's not forget, of course, they have been prolific in winning this competition, but you have to go back to 2018. 8 times winners Chelsea are of the FA Cup, and you are one of those winners. Just tell us what that's like to be an FA Cup winner, Scott Minto.
Yeah, honestly now, it's an incredibly proud thing to think, and I still don't even really think about it now, but I should do really, because again, it's not necessarily that I've won it, but the 70s and 80s, it was that one big day of the whole of the season where the best team won the league, but actually the biggest day was the FA Cup final. And for me to have achieved that and been there, and everything just went really well. Robbie Di Matteo's early goal after 40-odd seconds, I felt I played well, so I was happy as well, but it was all about the team, and it was the first major trophy Chelsea won in 26 years, and it was the start of it really. Glenn started it, Glenn Hoddle, then Rue took over, Luca then carried it on, and obviously once Roman Abramovich came in, they became one of the biggest and best teams in Europe. So very, very proud achievement and proud to have been there.
That was back in 1997 when you were part of that FA Cup winning team, and you can hear the atmosphere really starting to build here once more. And a tifo of Ray Butch Wilkins, one of our own, is now making its way around the Matthew Harding lower end. And yes, I think it's the anniversary of his passing, isn't it? And hence why they've decided to do this wonderful tifo in memory of a legend, of TalkSport's very own Ray Wilkins as well, very much a friend of TalkSport. Scott, get your final thoughts then really ahead of this one. And as we've mentioned already by looking at the team news, Liam Rosenior has gone pretty strong with his side, which sends a real positive message to everybody about how important this game is and how important it is for these players to get themselves back into form and get back some confidence that's clearly been lacking of late.
Yeah, very quick one on Ray. Just an amazing player, but amazing person as well. The last time I saw him was outside Stamford Bridge. It was raining. I was walking to a game with my dad, and he was just standing there talking. And in the end, I said, "Ray, don't get wet. You know, you haven't got a big coat on." Just an amazing person, human being as well as player. But yes, do you know what Liam has done? He's been right in doing it and very clever as well. He's now put it onto the players. This is as strong as he could possibly get, apart from maybe Kukurea and Caicedo. The fans can't have a go at him if they don't perform here today. Strong team, go out and put a strong performance.
The teams are making their way out right now as well, and you can hear how it's really ramped up in here. It's a game that the Chelsea fans expect a performance from. They expect their team to win this one pretty comfortably, but as we know, Port Vale have certainly enjoyed their cup run and have knocked out Premier League opposition before. That coming at home to Sunderland in the last round, but they'll look to cause a shock once more if they possibly can. Let's hand you then over to your commentary team then, ahead of Chelsea against Port Vale. The former Chelsea defender Scott Minto is alongside Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Natalie, and welcome to Stamford Bridge, where one of the greatest shocks in FA Cup history is a possibility here today. Port Vale's first quarter-final for generations. The team bottom of League One, having defied the odds and already beaten Premier League opposition in Sunderland to get this far. Valiant they have been, but this is by far the toughest test of an already remarkable cup run.
They're both 28 years of age. Port Vale come with a back five, and their manager John Brady was very particular in the pre-match build-up. He knows what his side are up against here, but they're going to try and frustrate and see, in his own words, if they can throw a few punches against Chelsea. So it's a 5-3-2 for Port Vale. Gauchi is the keeper. The back five is Gabriel, John, Humphreys, Paul and Gordon. Midfield three of Waters, Ojo and captain Garrity. And it's Sharif and Ben Waine up front. Now, Ben Waine is the one to look out for. Scored 3 victory goals in Port Vale's run to this stage, including the goal that knocked out Sunderland in the last round. He's just come back from playing for New Zealand in the international break. Scored there as well in a 4-1 victory against Chile. And he's had a 27-hour journey back, and he's straight in the starting lineup. Said that he wouldn't miss this game whatsoever, but it's a young strike force. Wayne, 24 years of age, and Sheriff, only 19, and they will be bang up against it this afternoon or this evening. Obviously can go to extra time and penalties if that is needed. But it's obviously the Premier League side who are coming into this game 6th in the Premier League, 6 points off the top 4 at the moment, 1 point away from 5th, which might be good enough for a Champions League qualification place when all is said and done. But it's FA Cup action for Liam Rosenior, and he now knows that his side need to stop a rot of 4 consecutive defeats in all competitions coming into today. So Chelsea in their familiar blue home strip, Port Vale in their home strip, which is all white. And we are getting ourselves ready here for kick-off on what is set to be a fantastic occasion for the League One side. If you're not too familiar with Port Vale, they currently sit bottom of League One. Struggled in the league after promotion last season from League Two, where they finished second, obviously promoted automatically. But they've had a really great FA Cup run to get to this stage. Incredibly, they had a 5-1 victory in round one against non-league side Malden and Tiptree, and then they've gone on a run of 4 consecutive 1-0 victories to get to this stage, including wins against Bristol Rovers, Fleetwood, Bristol City and Premier League Sunderland in round 5. All of those games taking place at home, and they've been rewarded with a trip to Premier League, Chelsea and Stamford Bridge. 6,000 fans all packed away behind that goal, ready to cheer on their side in their white shirts, black shorts and black socks. Manager is John Brady, who looks in great spirits on the touchline. A fantastic occasion, and Chelsea will be fully aware of the difficulties of what a potential banana skin might be. I'll just run through the benches for you. It's Sharman Lowe, Achimpong, Sarr, Kukurea, Sugo, Caicedo, Garnacho, Delap and Guevara McQueen for Chelsea. Port Vale with Amos, Campbell, Maglary, Hall, Shipley, Crossdale, Gray, Archer and Stockley. And it's going to be the League One side who are going to get us underway. And they're going to be shooting from left to right in this first half, and we're set free by Farai Halam, and it's a long ball straight away up towards Ben Wayne, who's going to battle for it, and he will bring it down, and he plays in Ojo. And the ball is now with Hall at the defensive section down the line, and it's stolen away by Chelsea, and it's the first chance that they will get to break, and it's Pedro Neto on the right hand side, plenty of space ahead of him. He's got João Pedro in the middle, Estevao at the back post as well, lays it back for Cole Palmer, who shifts it back to Pedro Neto, flicked out to the right hand side for Gusto, puts the ball in, that's deflected behind for a corner. It was Gordon who managed to block the cross from Gusto. There's an opportunity for the Premier League side to put the ball into the box inside the first minutes here. Port Vale with plenty of players back and try and make life difficult. It's a left-footed in-swinger, and it comes on top of the keeper. There's a punch there, and it's not cleared properly, and it's going to be turned towards goal by Hato, and it's in. And the Premier League side inside 2 minutes already have the lead. Joel Hato turns the ball home from the corner. Keeper Gauci trying to get a punch on it and was crowded out, couldn't really get too much distance on it. And Chelsea have the lead. It's a disastrous start for the League One side. John Brady said they were going to try and frustrate, but they've been undone from the set piece straight away. There's so many bodies in between the keeper and the ball, and they just couldn't get the clearance on it. And Joel Hato from 6 yards out powered home with his left foot. There is VAR at this stage. They will check it, but doesn't look to be any foul on the keeper there for me. It's a good strike from Hato to burst through the keeper's hands and into the back of the net. And the Premier League side have the lead. Port Vale get us back underway, and it's Carl John straight away sending a ball into the box, and it's headed away, but Ojo can return it towards Sheriff, but Chelsea try and scramble it away. It's Gordon then shooting from distance, and the left back gave it a go, but it's going to bobble wide. John Brady looks a little bit shell-shocked. The first attack that Chelsea had, unfortunately resulting in a goal against his side, but might allow his team just to relax now. Obviously a big occasion. 62 places between these two sides. But it's the first FA Cup goal that Port Vale have conceded since round one, where they did go behind to Malden and Tiptree of step 4 in the non-league before powering back past them 5-1. And obviously it'd be an incredible story if they could do that again today, but obviously unlikely. But anything can happen in this game that we all love, and particularly with the magic of the FA Cup. But Chelsea have it on the right hand side with Pedro Neto, and he's going to run at Gordon in that left back position, couple of step overs, slides it down the line to Gusto, turns it in towards Cole Palmer, and his shot is blocked, and and cleared away up in the air by Humphreys. Ojo can try and head it clear, and it will go out of play for a throw-in. Chelsea having success down that right-hand side already. Captain for the afternoon, Cole Palmer, unable to get his shot on target as it was blocked away. Tosin in the central position finds Andre Santos, and they return that back to Robert Sanchez, all in orange this afternoon, the Chelsea keeper. Out to the left-hand side for Estevao, who's floored by Gabriel, and referee says play on, but does have a conversation with the right back of Port Vale, who went flying into that tackle against the young Brazilian. Tossing out to the right-hand side where Fofana finds Gusto. Port Vale, credit to them, are pressing this Chelsea side and trying to make it difficult for them, as Chelsea do play through the lines here, and they find Cole Palmer inside the centre circle. Plays out to the left-hand side for Estevao, and he will run into the space that he's been gifted, but is held up by Gabriel. A couple of step-overs from the young Brazilian before playing it into Andre Santos. Nice 1-2 between Palmer and João Pedro before going back to Santos. And then out to the right-hand side for Pedro Neto. Puts it on his left foot and then goes on the outside, this time down to the byline, puts the cross in, headed away. Only as far as Estevao, but then Gabriel does well just to marshal that out, and that will be a goal kick. Important header in there from Hall to stop the attack of Chelsea. Gabriel just gives Estevao a little high five as they had a bit of a push and shove off the ball not too long ago. 5 minutes gone at the Stamford Bridge, and it's Chelsea 1, Port Vale of League One 0 in this FA Cup quarter-final. It's the green kit of Gauchi to launch it forward. It will be returned into the Port Vale half. Then Ben Waine does well to battle away, but his pass towards Garrity is cut out, and Chelsea will come away. There is a foul in the build-up, but referee says play on, and Gusto and Romeo Lavia, who continues his minutes being managed after a very long injury, but it's a poor pass from Andre Santos, and Ben Waine will get there just ahead of Pedro Neto, but it will go out of play for throwing on the right-hand side to the home team. Thrown in short to Lavia, who spins out and finds Fofana, and Chelsea will work it over to this left-hand side with Santos and then Tosin before playing back to Lavia, and they'll now come down the right-hand side with Pedro Neto. Again, Ojo in the middle of that midfield does really well to force Chelsea all the way back to Robert Sanchez, and then some neat footwork from the keeper finds Malo Gusto at right back, and Chelsea just having to keep possession inside their own half at the moment. Credit to the League One side, who are going to try and push them all the way, and Pedro Neto clips it into the channel, but it's cleared up in the air by Hall. He'll come back again, but Hall steps in and brings it down on his chest, but his pass is a loose one, and Cole Palmer can then find Andre Santos, who gives it back to the England international and captain. Plays it out to Estevao, who's exciting. The Brazilian runs in, he's got Cole Palmer overlapping, puts the ball in, it's blocked away by John, and then Gabriel goes down, and it will be a free kick for Port Vale inside their own area. João Pedro fouling the right back, Gabriel. Good fluid attacking movement from Chelsea, but a really good block in there from John to stop the ball going into the box. Gauchi, the Australian keeper with 46 on his back, is going to come forward and send this one long, and clears his lines up into the sky, and it's headed back by Tosin, and then João Pedro will put Humphreys under a little bit of pressure. Humphreys goes down and then grabs the ball, and that will be a free kick for the away side, much to the frustration of João Pedro. One of those ones where a little touch from behind, and the defender very cleverly grabs the ball on the way down and almost forces the referee to give him a free kick. So it will be another long clearance from keeper Gauchi. He's a good 25 yards out of his goal here on this right hand side, and it hit into that right-hand channel. It'll be Garrity to try and flick it on, but it's returned forward by Chelsea, and there'll be a free kick there. Humphreys too tight to João Pedro this time. João Pedro down holding the back of his head after a little bit of a clash. So the free kick will be inside the centre circle. 9 minutes gone. There's the Premier League side who do have an early lead. Gerard Hato scoring after 65 seconds from a corner. Port Vale putting Chelsea under a bit of pressure in the back line again, and it's Sheriff doing the pressing this time, but all ends up back with Wesley Fofana, the centre-back for Chelsea. He moves it on to Santos. Got bright yellow boots inside that central midfield position, the young Brazilian. Plays it to Lavia, who's found Pedro Neto in plenty of space on that right-hand side. Gordon will go out to try and stop him and forces a pass to Gusto, and then Gordon will intercept that one and try and shepherd it out for a goal kick if he can. He does really well against the Frenchman, and that'll be a goal kick for the League One side. Port Vale, credit to them, have settled down pretty well after conceding so early. Wouldn't have been in their game plan. So they would have been told to keep it tight, but found themselves in the 8 minutes since the goal with good composure, having to defend their goal pretty often, but been doing okay. And it will be Gauci again to send a long goal kick up over the halfway line. Sheriff loses the header to Lavia, and it will be into the Port Vale half, flicked on by Palmer, but headed away by Hall. Sheriff gets his head to it, and then will have to chase his own ball, and does really well to get there ahead of Tosin Adrabayo, and Port Vale have a bit of territory here on the right hand side. Goes in field to Ojo, who threads the ball across, and it's not too far away from Ben Waine, who was at the back post. Couldn't get on the end of it, the New Zealand international. But brilliant endeavour from the League One side. It was a great ball across, almost a bit of a cross/shot. And Waine had got in behind Gusto, gambled on it, but just wasn't able to strike the ball home. So warning signs for Chelsea. They're in a game here. They do find themselves a goal to the good, but Port Vale coming close down the other end. It's been goals being scored that has been the issue for Port Vale, really. They have struggled this season. Only 29 league goals in 38 league games. And if you look at their previous FA Cup record, a 1-0 victory in the last 4 rounds, just shows that they have struggled to put the ball in the back of the net this season. And ultimately, when they are 15 points adrift of the drop places in League One, it looks like it will be a lack of goals which might lead to their demise in that division. Throw in for Chelsea on the right hand side, and Gusto decides just to throw it all the way back to the halfway line, and Chelsea will build as they often do. Santos' ball to the right hand side is a poor one, and that will go out of play for Port Vale. Throw in. 13 minutes gone, and Connor Hall will send the throw in forwards up towards Waine, who tries to head it on, but it will fall at the feet of Lavia, who's under pressure from Ojo, but does well to retain possession. Lavia, with his left hand bandaged up, plays a nice ball forward to Pedro Neto on the right hand side, who decides to just keep the possession, and Chelsea will work it from right to left this time as Tosin, under pressure from Sheriff, has to knock it to his partner Fofana. Romeo Lavia takes over, who's incredibly looking to get on the ball at each occasion, plays a good ball through for Gusto in the end to run onto, but Gauci is off his line quickly and gets there ahead of the French right back to intercept that ball. Ball sends it long, and that will go out of play for a throw in. A little bit panicky there from Port Vale centre half. So throw into Chelsea midway through the League One team's half. Ball stolen away by OJ, but can only thump it long, and it'll go out of play for another throw in for the home team. Romeo Lavia just dusting himself down after a tangle with OJ. Gusto with ball in hand, just again from the halfway line, throws it all the way back into his defensive section, and maybe Fofana to bring it away, and then out to goal scorer Hato on the left hand side. Got himself on the score sheet as well in round 3 when they played Charlton. 5-1 victory in round 3. Second FA Cup goal for the youngster who signed from Ajax in the summer. Port Vale come away, and Gabriel was fouled by Estevao, and it'll be a free kick to the League One side inside the Chelsea half, right on the touchline here, just in front of the dugouts. But an opportunity for Port Vale to put the ball in the box here and try and cause a bit of chaos. Manager John Brady, as already mentioned, said that he's just hoping that his side can throw a few punches in this game, figuratively speaking. I wonder whether set pieces might be the way forward for them. Robert Sanchez frantically trying to organise his defensive line, and the Chelsea line is just outside the penalty area. It'll be Humphreys to take it, but he's just been told by the referee he needs to stay behind the foam line that has been created. Cole Palmer is asking the referee to check that it's in the right position. So Humphreys, the centre-back, has his right arm raised, and every Port Vale player that's come forward is outside the box at the moment. There's a ball in towards the penalty spot. It is flicked on by Hall, but high and wide of the goal. No threat there to Robert Sanchez. It was a header well won by the Port Vale centre-back. Got there ahead of Andre Santos, but couldn't direct it goalwards in the end. Chelsea start to come forward, and goal scorer Hato decides central defensive pairing of Tosin then Fofana. Tosin plays it into Cole Palmer on the halfway line, but he's had to drop back and nowhere for him to go. But there is a bit of space here. There's a ball threaded through down the right hand side for João Pedro, and he'll get there ahead of Gordon, but the flag goes up, and that'll be offside. Side trap there from Port Vale. João Pedro come out of his area over to the left hand side this time to take this kick. He's about 4 yards outside the penalty box, and he runs forward and right footed sends it long into that left hand channel. It's going to be headed away by Fofana. The second one's won by Ojo, and Port Vale trying to feed off the scraps, but it's launched long by Chelsea, and a bit of a hoofed clearance, so there's no one there. Head the ball back to his keeper, and then very quickly gets the ball back at his feet. Right-hand channel, Sheriff can flick it on, but no one there for Port Vale. Garrity ends up harmlessly rolling through to Sanchez inside the Chelsea box. Obviously, winners of this game will join Manchester City in the hat for the semi-finals, which do take place at Wembley. The other two quarter-finals, one of them happening tonight. After this one, it's Championship. Southampton going up against Premier League leaders Arsenal. And then tomorrow is West Ham hosting Leeds. Two sides that find themselves down towards the bottom of the Premier League, and they have themselves an option of getting a day out at Wembley. Chelsea find themselves 1-0 up here after 19 minutes. Would back themselves to be in that draw. Fofana on the halfway line, plays it out to Gusto, flicks around there. They'll do their very best to make the centre of the pitch very tight. It's back five for Port Vale, but they're happy for the Chelsea wide players to have possession. They're just trying to make the central areas very, very tight, and Chelsea will continue to try and play through them. Hato ends up giving the ball away, and there's an opportunity here for Port Vale to... Lavia's brought down. Romeo Lavia will count himself very lucky there. Farai Halam, the referee, has officiated 2 Premier League games in his career, but predominantly a Championship referee, but given the opportunity here at Stamford Bridge, all lifted in by Port Vale to the Chelsea area. It's cleared away by Tosin. In fact, the offside flag was up anyway, so danger averted. Yes, Mr. Halam, the referee, did officiate the Man City Wolves game in the Premier League earlier on. Very well thought of inside the referee circles, so definitely a name to keep an eye on, and I'm sure he'll be getting more Premier League games next year as Sanchez launches. Back to Humphreys inside his own half, the central of that back three, which is mainly predominantly a back five for Port Vale. He plays the ball forward up towards Ben Way. It's stolen away by Pedro Neto, and Chelsea will try. Chelsea again just restricted with what they can do going forward, and the league up in a dangerous position. Will break towards the box on the left hand side, but his touch is too heavy, and it's half stolen away by John, but he will fall at Esteval, and Gabriel will go over and try and battle with the young Brazilian, and he does really well to win a goal kick for his side. Down. So 22 minutes gone at Stamford Bridge, and it's the Premier League side that do find themselves a goal to a good. Gerald Hato 65 seconds into the match after Port Vale failed to clear a corner. Since then, the League One side have more than held their own, made life difficult for the Premier League side, and they're away here on the left hand side with Ben Wayne. He can bring it down on his chest, but he's just shepherded out of play, and that'll be a throw in level with the edge of the area. For Chelsea on that far side. So in terms of quarter-finals for Port Vale, it's played 1-1 in the FA Cup, and to see where a poor pass from him, and it's picked off by Walters, who will try and break forward and give some great footwork, goes past two. He's then given a nudge by Lavia, and this time no foul. What lovely footwork from Walters. Socks rolled right down to his ankles, the midfielder for Port Vale, and he's done well to win that ball back again, but his pass into Sheriff just slightly too long. Ball goes out to the right hand side for Pedro Neto. Inside to Gusto outside him in plenty of space, but it's all a little bit slow from Chelsea, and it allows. And it will fall at the feet of Pedro Neto, who plays it across. João Pedro takes a touch and then buries it into the bottom corner. And there's a touch of class from the Premier League side. Pedro Neto finds João Pedro. He was given far too much time, pulled it down on the 6-yard line, managed to turn and bury it into the bottom corner. And the Premier League side double their lead here in the 25th minute. Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0. It was a clip ball in by Santos, which Gordon couldn't really deal with, and there was a good cross, and João Pedro just got away from John and couldn't miss really from 6 yards out. Good control, good finish, and that is the class of the Premier League side. A bit of a push and a shove between Pedro Neto and Gordon, which might be looked at by VAR, but it's a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But it was the fake Pedro which found himself a bit of space, and the goal is confirmed. It's 2-0 to Chelsea. And it's a shame for Port Vale, who had battled really well since conceding so early. And João Pedro continues his run of form. In extra time, so he takes his FA Cup tally for his new side, signed in the summer, up to 2. Toss in at the back for Chelsea, just comes forward, and the press from Port Vale has just dropped off slightly now as Lavia plays it out to the right hand side, and Gusto on the overlap has got plenty of space down this right hand side, plays it in. It's a good sliding block from Humphreys, and that'll be a corner on the far side. Chelsea able just to pick their way through. Gusto slid the ball along the floor looking for João Pedro, but couldn't get on the end of it. So the corner on the far side will be Pedro Neto to deliver. It'll be a left-footed in-swinger. He's got an option short, and they've now all run away. So in comes the ball in towards the 6-yard box. It's headed away, and there'll be a free kick as well. And Sharif had a clash of heads there. Looks a bit of a nasty one. The referee just calls for some medical attention straight away. Sharif down holding his face. The young striker. Good header to it. Clashed with Andre Santos. Both medical teams now on the field and giving some attention. Chelsea do have a rich heritage in this competition. 8 times winners. Haven't won it since 2018, however, which was a 1-0 victory over Manchester United. Since the turn of the century, really, they've had a real good go at this competition. Plenty of semi-finals and plenty of finals as well. They will be looking to win the competition for the first time in 8 years and get themselves up to 9 titles. And they already look like they've got 1 foot in the semi-finals. 2-0 here already against League One Port Vale, who are more than holding their own. It's just the class of the Premier League outfit for the second goal. Both managers just using this injury stoppage to just have a conversation with both sets of players. Maybe a bit of a tactical rejig for Port Vale. They won't be too disheartened at 2-0. They know full well that if they could get the next goal, that they could be back in it, but they will be desperate to not concede a third anytime soon. Both Sheriff and Santos walking off the field look to be okay after that clash of heads. So we're back, ready to get underway, and Gauchi, the keeper, sends that forward, and Gabriel does win the flick on there, and it will run out of play, and it will be a Port Vale throw in level with the edge of the area on this right hand side. Throw and be left to John, and he is the long throw specialist for Port Vale as the white shirts all congregate towards the penalty spot. Andre Santos and Sharif both back running on the sidelines, but not on the pitch just yet. So John, with 24 on his back, throws that in as a long distance, and the header away is a Chelsea one, and that'll be a corner for the League One side. It was Fofana who had to get his head to it. And on the half hour, Port Vale have an opportunity to deliver the ball into the box. It'll be Gordon from left back to come over and deliver. So it'll be a left-footed in swinger. John Brady crouched down in his technical area watching on. So Gordon, number 15, raises both arms ready to deliver this cross into the box. Forward he comes and delivers it in. It's a bit of a poor one. It's flicked away, but the clearance isn't great. It's picked up by Ben Waine, but Chelsea will steal it away, and they will break here with Pedro Neto on the right hand side, but good covering tackle from Walters, who's probably been the standout player in midfield for Port Vale so far. Stops that attack, and it will be a throw in on halfway on the far side. Good news is that Santos and Sharif now back on the field after that head clash. Chelsea with Hato, the first goal scorer on the ball, number 21, just decides to play it back to Tosin, who will go from left to right, and then it goes back to Sanchez in the goal. Right orange kit for Spaniard Robert Sanchez, who's been closed down by Sheriff, so he decides to move the ball on. It'll be out with gusto on the right hand side, and Chelsea again happy just to play it around. There's a sliding tackle from Sharif, who's then ended up catching Wesley Fofana, who's gone down holding his ankle. It's a yellow card for Sharif, who's having a bit of a chuckle to his teammates. He doesn't feel like he's caught Wesley Fofana at all, and there's not a lot of contact after seeing the replay. But Martin Sharif gets himself a yellow card, the first of the game. Wesley Fofana appears to be okay. So a free kick for Chelsea right down in their own defensive third, right down by the corner flag, and it will be Gusto to just knock it short to keeper Sanchez, and then they'll work it over to the left hand side as Tosin takes over and brings it out outside the penalty box. As always, Romeo Lavia shows for the ball, but when he receives it, just knocks it back to Adrabayo. Ball out with Gusto, who's flicked it around the corner, goes down, but no foul given as Lavia plays it over to this left hand side. It'll be left back Hato to play it into the feet of Cole Palmer, who's had it stolen off him again. Port Vale will try and come forward. It's Ojo inside the centre circle, delivers the ball out to the right hand side. It's been allowed to bounce, and Hato gets across his man and will head that out for a throw in. Gabriel got a bit of a clatter there from Joel Hato as the ball bounced. Both players went for the ball, and it was actually Andre Santos who managed to get his head to it ahead of Gabriel. So it was a throw in for Port Vale. Gabriel, the right back, still down and feeling uncomfortable. It helps with his feet now. But John will be able to deliver another long throw. Certainly can get it into the penalty area from here. Forward he comes and launches it in towards the penalty spot. It's flicked on, but then flicked away, but it will end up at the feet of Gordon, who's the furthest player back for Port Vale. Everyone inside the Chelsea half at the moment, bar the Port Vale keeper. As Walters takes the ball on and goes back to Ojo, who's under pressure from João Pedro, and Port Vale do well to retain possession. 35 minutes on the watch. Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0. João Hato and João Pedro with the goals. But it's the League One side who are in possession here on halfway as centre-back Humphreys takes over, and we'll try and work it to the left-hand side and then back to the right as Walters spins out but can only find John. With possession but unable to go anywhere with it at the moment, under a bit of more pressure from Chelsea now as Humphreys takes over in the back line and then goes long into the right-hand channel for Sheriff to chase, but headed away. But Captain Garrity will try and pick up the spare ball, ends up clashing with Lavia, nothing given. Play on, says Farai Halam. Remy Lavia stayed down, and Port Vale continue here. On the left-hand side, it's Gordon. Slides it down the line for Wayne. Back to Gordon again. Lavia still down in the midfield area. Port Vale will continue. John with 24 on his back plays it out to Gabriel on the right-hand side. He goes through his man and is fouled by João Hato. And that'll be a free kick for Port Vale. Romeo Lavia is down holding his Achilles. There's a bit of a 50-50 in midfield. No foul was given. It was Garrity who almost kicked the bottom of Lavia's foot as they both went for the ball. Port Vale captain. Lavia, who's had plenty of injury issues since signing from Southampton. Chelsea hierarchy will be having everything crossed that this is just a knock. He's back on his feet. He's been helped up by the medical staff, but doesn't look comfortable. Still holding the back of his right ankle. The number 45 starts making his way off. Lavia seems to be moving okay. He's got his left wrist heavily strapped as well, the young Belgian. But he's back on his feet and he's on the sideline. He's still wiggling that right ankle, doesn't feel comfortable, but he will be coming on as Port Vale do put the ball into the box. It's headed away by Fofana. Humphreys can return it towards Sharif, and it's cleared away this time by Tossin, and Chelsea will come forward with Vestaval. His ball towards Palmer's been cut out, and Humphreys does really well just to return that to his keeper Gauchi, who right-footed clears it up towards Sharif to go to battle with Fofana. He does really well and it ends up at the feet of Garrity, who flicks it forward up towards Wayne, who can get the first touch, but he's then barged off the ball by Fofana, and that will be back in possession for the home side. Gusto pedalling backwards finds Fofana. That's the left hand side, but Tossin is the one to take over. Slow build up once again from the Premier League side, but ball in towards Esteval was picked off by John, who's going to steam forward, but it's a good tackle in there from Andre Santos to stop that Port Vale counter attack. Space on this left hand side for Hato to come forward. Finds Captain Cole Palmer, who's not had too many touches of the ball really in that number 10 role. There's room out here on the right hand side for Pedro Neto, who will go up against Gordon. A few step overs, puts him on his left foot, but forced backwards towards Santos. Then Lavia, 35 yards from goal, and Lavia's going to take a strike. It takes the deflection, and it's a good scrambling save over to the left hand side for Gauchi. Wasn't going in, but he's done well to keep it in, as it would have conceded a corner, which Chelsea looked dangerous from in this first half. Gauchi goes long, up towards Sheriff, who flicks it on. It's cleared away, and Walters can battle for it, but again, it will just fall into the back line of Chelsea, and it's toss in to take control of the situation. Entering the last 5 minutes of the half here, there will be a couple of minutes added on. Andre Santos finds Lavia inside his own half, but plays it into the centre circle where Lavia will spin away from his man, plays a nice ball to his fellow countryman João Pedro, breaks towards the box and plays it into Esteval, but it's smuggled away by the League One side, and Walters will come forward, being tracked down by Lavia, and it will be a throw in for Port Vale. Ball ended up flying into the dugout. It was well caught by Port Vale manager John Brady, who takes the applause from the away fans. John Brady will be happy what he's seen from his side. Be disappointed to be 2-0 down, but they've battled well. Just come unstuck in that first minute from that set piece, and then it was a good, well worked goal, the second one, after a breakaway from Chelsea. They've still managed to venture into the Premier League side's half occasionally as they try there again, but that ball's going to roll all the way through to Sanchez in the Chelsea goal. Chelsea will build slowly from the back again as Lavia takes over. Been well watched by Waters, so it's sent out to the left-hand side for Hato, open the scoring in this game. Chelsea this time unable to go anywhere, so we'll just turn around and give it back to Robert Sanchez again. They will be patient. They always seem to be under Liam Rosinia, but after 4 defeats in a row in all competitions, they needed some positivity. No Enzo Fernandez, of course, in this side today. Been internally banned for 2 games after comments that he made during the international break. But according to Liam Rosinia, direct quote, overstepped the line. But João Pedro now will break forward on the central area. He's got players ahead of him if he wants to use them. Goes to Gusto, who shoots towards goal, and it's a really good save, but it's turned home by Cole Palmer. And that will be 3 in the 42nd minute. And got to feel sorry for Gauchi there. He's made a brilliant save from the right-footed strike of Gusto, but he can only palm it into the path of Cole Palmer, who slid in and turns it home. And the Premier League side have a third. And it feels a little bit harsh on Port Vale, that one, but it was a good breakaway goal. It was a nice flick from Gusto into the feet of João Pedro, who returned it to the French right back. It was a good strike, great save. But Cole Palmer just reacted quickest. Managed to get there ahead of Gabriel and turned it home for himself. But at Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. And again, just the class of the Premier League side in the build-up. In fact, it might end up going down as a bit of an own goal off of Gabriel. Palmer, if we look again, sliced his attempt. It might have been going wide, but Gabriel, while sliding in, ended up directing it into the goal. But I'm sure Cole Palmer will do his best to try and claim that one. If so, it will be his first FA Cup goal this season. Chelsea have been banging the goals already. 5 against Charlton in round 3, 4 against Hull in round 4. It required extra time, but 4 against Wrexham as well in round 5, and they've already got themselves 3 here against the League One side of Port Vale. Yet to come up against Premier League opposition in the competition. But it looks like Chelsea will be joining Man City in the draw for the semi-finals, which will be completed this time tomorrow. Southampton and Arsenal play tonight at 8 PM British summer time, and West Ham and Leeds face off at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon on Easter Sunday. Port Vale still trying to play some nice football, and they've worked it really well here for Sherryfield. Burst forward, but a really good tackle from Lavia to retain possession for his team, and then he's fouled by Walters, who frustratingly looks at the referee. And there was contact there, and we're about to find out how many minutes added on there will be in this first half. We have had that stoppage for the head injury and 3 goals. Both Hato, Palmer and João Pedro getting themselves on the score sheet. But Port Vale can hold their heads high. They've battled well, but find themselves 3 goals down. There's 2 minutes to go in this first half. Chelsea will have possession in the right back area with Gusto, who tries to play it into midfield and does find Estevao, who's being quiet by his standards, but he'll break forward on the right hand side. He's got Pedro Neto outside him, still goes on himself, and then a neat back heel to Pedro Neto, who finds Lavia in field, then Santos, and Palmer back out right to Pedro Neto, delivers the ball into the box and it's headed away by John. Garrity will do his best to clear it further, but Andre Santos gets there first, but he's shepherded away from the Port Vale goal. With Lavia about 45 yards out, and he plays it out to the right hand side again for Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto just stands on the ball and waits. Plays a 1-2 with Estevao, but is forced backwards again. Into the final minute of the half. Wesley Fofana plays it out to Neto again on the right hand side. Neto down the line for Gusto, steps over it and goes past his man well, and he'll break towards the box, plays it in towards Estevao.
Can't afford to lose this game. Now go and win this game big. Okay. You know, be harsh, be ruthless. That's what Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in their prime did. They didn't just settle for 3s and 4s. I remember covering games, I think it was Burton semi-final of the Carabao Cup, they won by 9. Now, I'm not saying they will win by 9, and I actually think Joe is slightly harsh on Port Vale. I think 2-0 is probably a rightful scoreline, because actually Port Vale have done okay. Just 2 of the goals they conceded, one at the worst possible time at the start of the game, and from a set piece as well. You can't give one of the best teams when you're a really small team a goal like that from a corner so early on. And then 2-0 as well, I didn't think was great defending. 3-0 I thought was a really well worked goal, and then, you know, with respect to the Port Vale defenders and all the players there, they can't live with that type of movement and quick play. But actually I think Port Vale have done themselves a lot of justice, and whatever the scoreline ends up being, the Port Vale fans can be really proud of their team. Certainly of that first half performance. We're yet to see the second. But no, if you're Chelsea, if I'm Liam Rosenior, I'm saying you go on and score at least another 3 in the second half.
Well, I mean, you're right to mention Port Vale's performance, because only 64 seconds in the game they concede, and at that point you could expect a team to crumble because it was such a shocking start for them. But they actually did all right. They got themselves kind of back into a groove. Not saying they were anywhere near scoring, but they felt like they were getting back into the game, and only for João Pedro to score has been his 15th goal in all competitions since the start of December, which is more than any other Premier League player, by the way. So a man very much in form. And what I loved about that goal was how he cleverly done a shot which pulled the defender out the way to open up the space for him.
Was here when the shirt seemed to weigh so heavy on so many players. I thought he was absolutely superb, and he scored goals, he made us control games and played like how we all wanted to play a game. I think he hasn't done that this season. So while scoring the goal would be great, and you know, that's certainly there in the record books, I want to see him more on the ball. I want to see him more dominating play. I want to see him playing little 1-2s, getting into little positions, little turns, run with the ball, play someone in and control the game, not just score a tap in, because he'll be saying, well, I'll be saying to him, anybody can do that. You got yourself in the right position. I want to see you doing what other players can't.
Okay. You're tuning in to FA Cup Game Day on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's That's from 11 a.m. It's 18 and over. Fees apply to delivery orders subject to availability, and price may vary. So at the break here, it's Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. The second half is coming your way next.
Big McDonald's Hunger. The Big Arch is here to stay. Available from 11 a.m. subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
Live tonight, exclusively on DAZN. Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. An icon will fall. Watch only on DAZN.
Here's a bright idea. Let Wix see how much you could save on your electricity bills. With Wix Solar, our team handles everything under the sun. From design to the perfect installation of your solar. Handles everything under the sun, from design to the perfect installation of your solar panels. We're proud as a peacock to be rated excellent on Trustpilot, so you can feel confident your solar installation is in safe hands. Book your free solar appointment today at wix.co.uk. Wix Solar, a name you can trust with service you can rely on.
At AJ Bell, we believe investing is for everyone. And when we say everyone, we mean your dad, Dan, Danielle, Dean, Dave, Dale, Dale's delivery driver Denise, Denise's dentist Dinesh, and Devon's strongest man, Donathan. Donathan? That can't be right. Donathan? Well, whatever your name is. If you're a real person, investing...
Live on Talk Sport.
This is FA Cup Game Day live on Talk Sport, and at the break it is Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0 in the day's second FA Cup quarter-final tie. Earlier on, Manchester City booked their place in the semi-finals after a 4-0 win over Liverpool. Erling Haaland scoring a hat-trick, Antoine Semenyo getting the other. Mo Salah missed a penalty that, had he have scored, would have made it 4-1, but it turned into a comprehensive victory for Manchester City as the pressure likely grows on Arne Slot, whose next opportunity to make things right in the Champions League. That's a quarter-final first leg away at PSG on Wednesday. Now, following us here at Stamford Bridge, we're at St Mary's for Southampton against Arsenal. That one kicks off at 8. Ollie Klink is your host for that one as they begin the build-up from around about 7:30. Commentary will be coming from Alex Crook and the former winger for both sides, Perry Grove. So let's take you to St Mary's and hear from your commentary team. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening from the wind tunnel up here at the back of the main stand at St Mary's. It is absolutely blowing a gale ahead of what I think is a really intriguing FA Cup quarter-final. Arsenal have had 2 long weeks to lick their wounds after losing against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, and they're facing a Southampton side 14 games unbeaten in all competitions, and who I think Perry Groves will believe there is a genuine chance of an upset, bearing in mind that we expect Mikel Arteta to ring the changes.
Well, obviously I got divided loyalties crooked. I played for both sides. There was a half and half scarf salesman outside and I nearly got one. Then he told me the price at 15 quid. I went, you're right mate, don't worry, keep it. But yeah, well, you said there with Southampton, we expect Arsenal to play probably a half and half team. You know, they'll rest a few because you've got a massive game against Sporting Lisbon on Tuesday. With Southampton, it'll be interesting to see how Tonda Eckhart goes, because they're, as you said there, they're in a really good run at the minute. When you think about Crookie, when he took over from Will Steele, they were 21st in the Championship. They'd only won 2 out of the first 13 games. Now he has a 62% win rate with virtually the same group of players. So the job he's done here has been unreal. And had good news from yesterday, because all the ones around him for Southampton either drew or lost, you know, trying to get into the playoff position. So there's going to be a lot of jeopardy in this game, because I saw the Southampton game against Leicester, and to be honest, it was both teams. It was like more of an inconvenience for them to play the game, because Tonda Eckhart didn't want these players to get injured. They win that after extra time. But today, I think he'll go quite strong, and I think he'll go for it. He's not a manager who's going to sit back and go, he's 4-2-3-1 into a 4-5-1. I think he'll actually go for it, and we'll have a real good game of football.
And I've been winding you up a little bit in the press room. We all saw Manchester City in their demolition job of Liverpool earlier. They seem to have momentum. So how big a game is this for Arsenal in terms of putting that League Cup final defeat to bed, getting back to Wembley straight away in the very next game, and just calming any nerves amongst those travelling supporters?
Do you know what it is? It's not necessarily the nerves, Crick. It's like the outside noise. You know what it's going to be like if Arsenal get beat here today. Then it's is there a crisis at Arsenal? Well, are they the nerves getting to them? So as you said there, it is about getting that win and getting that momentum back. Because I mentioned the big game on Tuesday against Sporting Lisbon. Then next Saturday against Bournemouth, 12:30 before Man City play Chelsea on the Sunday. So this is a big game. Every game now for Arsenal to the end of the season is a massive game.
Yeah, and the FA Cup, a place in the semi-finals, a competition that Arsenal have won more times than any other club in the country, is very much up for grabs here on the windswept South Coast tonight. Kick-off at 8 o'clock. It's live right here on TalkSport.
Alex and Perry, thank you very much. Just to run you through some quick results from the Scottish Premiership. Rangers beat Dundee United by 4-2, which takes them top of the table on goal difference. Hearts can reclaim top spot. That is if they get a point at Livingston tomorrow, and Celtic are in action as well on Easter Sunday as they face Dundee. Elsewhere, St Mirren were 2-0 winners over Aberdeen. Hibs beat Kilmarnock at home 3-0. And Motherwell, no wins in 4 now for them as they lost at home to Falkirk 3-2. And on Times Radio Live earlier on, Cambridge men won their 4th consecutive boat race against Oxford, but the Oxford women came out on top for the first time since 2016. Heavyweight season continues tonight here on TalkSport as Derek Chisora takes on Deontay Wilder at London's O2 Arena. Our expert team have kept you right up to date throughout a busy fight week, and they won't stop there because you can watch along with us ringside via the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel. That is Wilder versus Chisora tonight, live on the TalkSport network, the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel, as well as your smart TV from 7 p.m, or you can watch live on DAZN. Remember, on the subject of Liverpool's hammering at the Etihad, their next game away at PSG is live on TalkSport this coming Wednesday, and Stephen Gerrard is going to be a guest on The Breakfast Show with Ali McCoist and Gabby Agbonlahor on Tuesday. You won't want to miss that. Now, to bring you details of what's happened here at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea are 3-0 up against Port Vale at the break in this second FA Cup quarter-final. We thought Cole Palmer had been credited with the 3rd goal for Chelsea, but it's now been deemed as an own goal. It was going wide, and unfortunately for Jordan Lawrence Gabriel, his deflection took it in. So it's not a Cole Palmer goal, it is an own goal that sealed that 3-0 lead.
Just shown through at the right moments. Goals from Hato, João Pedro and potentially Cole Palmer. It might be an own goal. The 3 that separate the two sides, and it's Chelsea who get us back underway, shooting from left to right as Sanchez launches it forward. It's flicked on by João Pedro but headed away in the back line by John, who goes down, no foul given. João Pedro will break towards the corner flag. Back into midfield of Lavia, who's under a bit of pressure but finds gusto on the right hand side. Chelsea with ball at feet of Cole Palmer, who's found a little bit more space but has to just turn around. And it'll be Esteval now out on the right hand side, who comes up against Gordon and loses the ball, and Gordon will break forward into the Chelsea half but not got much help around him. Wins a free kick though for his side. It's a high five from Ben Wayne, the player ahead of him. The left back did well to dispossess Esteval and then break forward, used his body well, put it in the right position, and was fouled by the young Brazilian. So opportunity for Port Vale to put the ball into the box if they choose to do so. It's Ojo who has been tasked with the free kick, but Chelsea holding an incredibly high line, a good 10 yards outside the box, but the ball does travel in towards the back post. It's turned in towards Humphreys, whose shot is blocked away and cleared by Chelsea, but Corden will retain possession. Out to Ojo again, who tries to run down the left-hand side and wins another free kick in the exact same position as that last one. There's a lovely floated ball in from Ojo, and it was Garrity at the back post who managed to turn it back into the centre of the... Port Vale will have another opportunity here as Ojo comes forward. It's a ball towards the back post again. It gets all the way through, and this time there is a foul, and it will be a free kick to the home team. John colliding with Santos, and a bit of a guilty look on John's face. There was hands in the back as he gave the Brazilian midfielder a good shove. $6,000 strong away, expecting victory today, but just a good day out, a good performance. And although they find themselves 3 goals down, by no means a disgraceful performance from the League One side so far. But Esteval's found a lot of space here, chests it down onto the right hand side, plays it across the box, and too high for João Pedro. In fact, Esteval was offside anyway, flag raised, so a goal wouldn't have counted. Obviously, with VAR at this stage of the competition, we do get prolonged periods of play, even if the assistant felt that Esteval was offside anyway. So it'll be a free kick for that offside, and it's keeper Gauchi to take, and he's good distance outside of his penalty box. Plenty of Chelsea players gathered at the back of the technical area who aren't in the matchday squad. Enzo Fernandez, one of them, is here today despite that internal suspension that's been given for 2 games by manager Liam Rosinia. So he will miss today and Sunday's visit of Manchester City in the Premier League next weekend. So Manchester City running out 4-0 victors over Liverpool in the early quarter-final. And Chelsea will be hoping to join them in tomorrow's draw, and they will be joined by either Southampton and Arsenal or West Ham and Leeds. And Chelsea got a really good chance here, and Esteval hits the post on the far side. Beautiful ball in. Esteval just opened up his body and curled it away from the keeper, and it's clipped the outside of the post. That's the first real time where Port Vale shot themselves in the foot, dispossessed in their own half. And Andre Santos laid it to Esteval, who just curled it round the keeper and couldn't find the bottom corner. Would have been a beautiful finish. The young, exciting Brazilian winger, set for big things, I'm sure, has already settled into English football well. Hasn't had loads of minutes in the Premier League, but always using the cups for Chelsea. So good tackle by Santos to set Cole Palmer free, and he's got space. He finds Esteval again on this right hand side. Esteval into the box, finds Cole Palmer, who threads it towards goal, and it's scrambling Gauchi over to his right hand side. He keeps that from